Avatar The Last Airbender is well known for having great characters, but I can't help but feel that some of them get overlooked. Here are my picks for the 5 most underrated characters that are present in the show. At number 5 we have Roku, the avatar before Aang. Roku really comes under fire, haha get it, for starting the war, and to be fair, it was kind of his fault. His refusal to kill Sozin, or at least debilitate him, led Sozin to wreak havoc on the air nomads and the rest of the world once Roku died. Keep in mind 3 things though. 1. Roku's presence was a deterrent to Sozin from taking any action for many years. It was only after Roku died on the volcano that Sozin was able to enact his plans. 2. Sozin was Roku's best friend. Roku having to take down Sozin is basically the equivalent of Aang having to take down Bumi. Their friendship means a lot to Roku, which is why Sozin was let off with just a warning. 3. Roku's inaction is what he considers his greatest failure. When Aang is asking him for advice, Roku tells him that no matter what, he must be decisive and not make the same mistake as him. With all of that said, Roku does provide very good mentorship for Aang, and I think that's mostly overlooked in the wake of his mistake with Sozin. Roku tells Aang about the Comet and the Fire Lord, manifests himself in Aang so that Zhao can be defeated, helps Aang understand the spirit world, helps Aang understand the war, and offers him advice whenever he needs it. I really think he deserves more love. At number 4 we have none other than the Boulder. You may think I'm joking with this entry, but I assure you that I'm not. The Boulder is thoroughly entertaining, gets his own little character arc, and manages to do the impossible, refer to himself in the third person without being extremely annoying. We first meet the Boulder in the same episode that we meet Toph, the blind bandit. This episode is one of my favorites in the series, simply because of the fact that we're introduced to so many awesome characters. The Boulder is kind of a meathead, as noted by Aang, but he has some of the best lines in the episode. Then we see him again right before the invasion of the Fire Nation. The Boulder proclaims how he has gone from fighting for others' entertainment to now fighting for his country. What a true patriot. Anyway, he's definitely the most quoted character in my group of friends, and I really wished he popped up in more episodes. He is present for Zuko's coronation, though. Coming up next, we have Mai. She's introduced as one of Azula's best friends, and the daughter of a Fire Nation nobleman. Sometimes people rag on her for being overly cynical and emotionless, but keep in mind the environment in which she grew up in. In The Beach, which, as a side note, is also one of my favorite episodes in The Last Airbender, we understand that Mai had to show restraint and calm for basically her entire life, since acting out would make her family and her father look bad. It's honestly really sad, because the way Mai was raised made her apathetic to basically everything. I mean, in Return to Omashu, Mai's younger brother is kidnapped by rebel forces, and she doesn't really care at all. Mai's apathy does make her relationship with Zuko that much more special though, since she really does care about him. For me, Mai's actions at the Boiling Rock are enough to make her an awesome character. Not only does she take out all of those firebender guards without any bending of her own, she single-handedly saves some extremely beloved characters from falling to their doom. She's also the first character to really make Azula lose her cool. At spot number 2, we have Hakoda. Hakoda gets heat for leaving the Southern Water Tribe basically defenseless when he and the other men went to go fight in the war. He probably thought that because all the waterbenders in the tribe were taken away or killed, the Fire Nation had no reason to bother them. Still, I think a guy as smart as Hakoda would, 1, understand that this is giving the Fire Nation way too much credit, and 2, set up some extra precautions beyond his son's watchtower in case the Fire Nation does come back. Nevertheless, this man is an absolute emotional tank. Even after his wife Kaya was killed by the Fire Nation, he still prioritized his civic duty of fighting against the Fire Nation over being with Katara and Sokka. This man had just lost the love of his life, and now he willingly chose to separate himself from the only others that he could ever love as much, his children. I think what I respect most about Hakoda is his fighting spirit, and his refusal to break, even against all odds. I mean, take a look at this scene from the Boiling Rock. Put yourself in Hakoda's position for a minute. You are away from your family and friends. You risked everything to try and turn the tide in a losing war, but to no avail. You've lost loved ones along the way, and you're now imprisoned in the highest security prison in the world, where an escape has never before occurred. Most people would be dejected and lost in this scenario, but Hakoda still has enough moxie in him to razzle the prison warden. Respect, man. Last but certainly not least, we have the character of Jett. I bet many of you consider this to be a surprising choice, given that Jett is actually one of the series' most disliked characters. So let me give you a rundown of why I think he's underrated. First of all, I think the Freedom Fighters are awesome. None of them are benders, but they are all armed with the skills to give Fire Nation a run for their money. Their hideout is also awesome. They're like the Avatar version of Robin Hood's gang. Second, I really like Jett's choice of weapon. The cane swords grant him extra mobility, such as the ability to swing on trees and also make for some flashy takedowns. Third, he tries to improve himself. Jett believes in second chances, and even if he falls into old habits when trying to take down Zuko and Iroh, he still attempts to start anew in Ba Sing Se, which is worth something in my book. Fourth, he is the only character shown to be able to break Long Fang's brainwashing, and I thought that the moment he stopped fighting Aang and attacked Long Fang was great, even though it led to his death. Finally, the biggest reason I like Jett and think he's an underrated character is because I think he's the best foil to Aang. A lot of people like to juxtapose Aang with Zuko, and yes, there are definitely some areas where the writers want you to draw similarities. But if we look at traditional foil character relationships, I think Aang and Jett are more suitable for comparison. Aang and Jett are both characters who lost their loved ones to the Fire Nation. For Aang, Sozin's army wiped out his people, and for Jett, the rough rhinos killed his parents. When Aang found out about this revelation, he had the support of Katara and Sokka to help guide him on the right path to learning the elements and defeating the Fire Lord. If Katara wasn't there to calm him down, there's no telling who and what Aang would have brought vengeance on while in the Avatar state. Jett didn't have anyone to help guide him, so he took a more extreme approach to change. He wanted to wipe out any trace of the Fire Nation, even if that meant sacrificing innocent lives. Aang believes that people can change, and that change can manifest itself if nurtured at an early age. In The Headband, Aang is shown to have a desire to help Fire Nation children find their own identity, instead of having one forced onto them. Jett doesn't subscribe to this idea. To him, if you're Fire Nation, you're evil. Anyways, I'm definitely biased towards Jett. I mean, one of my friends even got me this Jett t-shirt. Either way, I do think he's underrated and deserving of the top spot. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.